place.
The thing about them, Jay, is what I learned from going to the NFL is y'all actually not bad people. Like, y'all cool. Like, y'all really like some of the coolest people on earth.
Hey, hold on. The one thing y'all fail to realize is I played football in Cleveland.
Yeah.
That changes a lot of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That changes a lot of that. I remember Braylon Edwards said they don't like me because I went to Michigan. And I said, they don't like you because you keep dropping the damn football. right? I said, I had a great time in Ohio, and I loved every second of it. You know?
Yeah.
So, but it also helped that we was beating the hell out of Ohio State at the time. So,
Yeah.
Things change.
Hey, Leroy, when we first brought Archie on, he talked about, like, when he was coming up, kind of, Ernie Davis. He admired Ernie Davis. He followed his game. When you were coming up, obviously, your generation or so later, was he a guy you idolized? Was Archie a guy even though he went to Ohio State, was he a guy like, wow, two Heisman? That as a kid, that had to blow you away.
He was even a little bit young. What was the 2 years he won?
74 and 75.
Right.
Yeah.
74 and 75.
Two generations.
I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
So, but when it got to, where I started really getting interested in football, you talking about Earl Campbell, and guys like that. I really, just the way they played, the way, he played, and I was more into. Remember Dalton Hilliard and Gary James, right? Those two at LSU at the time, and when I took my recruit trip there. So, I had, even though I knew of Archie growing up, I was more, I was probably a bigger fan of the guys that I watched when I got interested in football. And that's kind of like that for everybody. You usually, become fans of a sport or a player when you get to watch them play. And so from that standpoint, and then understand this, I don't care what the Cleveland Browns think. I lived the first 18 years of my life, and my hometown team never had a winning record.
Yeah, the Aints.
So just imagine that. Like, we celebrated an 8-8 season.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, we had a parade at 0-16.
And the second I went to college, they started the season 10-0. I was like, wow.
They done came up.
Well, you had to be.
They done came up.
Well,
I mean, when you were coming up,
so-
Walter Payton was in his prime when you were.
Walter Payton.
Yeah.
I remember watching OJ get 2,000.
Yeah, OJ was a star.
I remember, who was played for USC.
Marcus Allen.
Marcus Allen, Billy Sims, George Rogers.
Yeah.
Those were all the guys. And if you notice,
White.
it was a style of running that most of those guys had, big bruisers.
Sure.
Because that's what running back was. Marcus Allen and OJ were kind of my favorite player of all time. There's only one time in my life I've been speechless. Right? My favorite player of all time was Gale Sayers.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, well, why was Gale Sayers? I say, because remember, when I was a kid, you only got to watch like one game a week.
Right. Yep.
And if your team was blacked out, it was no football. And then on Monday Night Football, Howard Cosell would do the fastest 2 minutes in sports.
Oh, it was awesome.
And that's when you got your highlights.
That was it.
Yep.
But then Brian's Song came out.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like the first movie that they used actual footage from an NFL game. And so from that point on, I was always a Gale Sayers fan. And we played Chicago one time, and I met her. And I couldn't say a word. Like,
you cried at the end of that movie, didn't you? You cried at the end.
Hey, don't judge.
Hey,
Don't
listen,
do it.
I'm not. I'm
Real
not.
men cry.
I cried the
Judge.
first time I saw it. It was the first time I really remember
Right.
crying.
Yeah.
And if I watched it right
Right.
now, I'd cry at that last scene
what
again.
movie?
Yeah.
Brian Song. James
Brian
Conn.
Song.
James
played
Conn, who just passed
Brian
away.
Piccolo,
James
and
Conn
he just passed away in real life.
And Billy D.
And
Billy
Billy
D.
D. Williams.
Yeah.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Right?
No, you know what?
Hey.
For our younger viewers out there,
Yeah.
go see Brian
Great
Song.
movie.
Brian Song was a made-for-TV movie, which a lot of people
Right.
don't remember. They thought
didn't
it
realize
was
that.
a theatrical release.
Yeah.
It was a made-for-TV movie. It won the Emmy. And I'm telling you, if
Great
you
movie.
have a heart in your body that is beating,
Yep.
you will cry at
Yep.
the end of that movie.
Nah,
No,
nah,
Tyvis, I'm
nah.
Real men cry, Tyvis.
No, they
Come on.
don't.
Tyvis,
Yes, they
I'm
do.
telling you.
No, they don't.
By the way, James Conn was
Hey.
in another great sports movie from many years ago called Rollerball. You
I
guys
remember
see
that. I remember that.
Rollerball?
I do remember
That was
that.
an awesome movie.
Hey, did you ever see
What?
Everybody's All-American? I know you're from Louisiana. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
Dennis Quaid. I'm surprised you haven't seen it because it was loosely based on the life story of Billy Cannon, who I think won
Right.
the 1960
He won the
Heisman
Heisman
Trophy
at LSU.
at LSU in 1960. And Everybody's All-American is the story, loosely based on his life, about what happens to this ridiculous college talent who just never made it in life, business, or the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's a tremendous movie. Dennis Quaid plays Billy Cannon, and
I don't think I've seen it.
It's really good. I recommend that too if you're into
Missing
sports
out.
movies.
What's the name of it?
It's called Everybody's
I don't
All-American.
think Tyvis has seen a movie before
No,
2006.
Yeah, no, I know. These young guys today, what? Brian's song, what?
Remember the
Hey,
Titans?
I'm
What the hell is
telling you.
that?
That's a classic.
As a kid, watching football on TV and watching it about real football players, a movie about, real football players, yeah, man, I was all in. And when I met him and I shook his hand, I couldn't say nothing.
Wow.
I couldn't say nothing because, one, I didn't know what the hell to say. Like, what's up? Like you in that movie. Like, I didn't know what to say. Look, how about this? All the stuff that I've collected over my years, I have one picture,
Man.
one autograph on my wall.
Gail
Gail
Sayers?
Sayers.
No kidding.
That's it.
Wow.
That's
Hey,
it.
if
When I
not
tell
for-
you,
Go ahead.
I was a fan
yeah.
my whole life.
If not for injuries, some believe that he was the
He was
best
great.
running back
Yes.
ever. But
Yes.
obviously he was injured and had a short career. But
And he went in the Hall of Fame and only played 6 years.
imagine that.
Leroy, let me ask you a question and drill down on that. Back when you was coming up, there's so many running backs. They had so many different styles, from Tony Dorsett to Eric Dickerson.
Yep.
You mentioned Gail Sayers and Walter
People
Payton.
sleep on Eric Dickerson. People sleep on Eric
Man.
Dickerson.
I'd still take Barry Sanders over anybody.
There's very-
Eric
there's
Dickerson
taking
still
Barry
got their
Sanders.
Eric Dickerson still got their yards right.
Where do you see the running back position going? I don't know why this struck me about I think it's about 10 years ago. I remember Jim Tressel putting Teddy Ginn in this weird little slot position. I was just like,
Kind of
he's
like
sti-
what they do with Debo.
right,
like
kind
what
of
they
like
do with
that.
Debo.
What they do.
And
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking like, this the new wave of you got a guy that could just is great with the football, Percy Harvin type, a guy that's fast, but the traditional line up in a power eye and just hand the ball off. I think that's coming to an end. Where do you see the position of running back moving? And do you believe that they're going to evolve it to a way where running backs have not been devalued in a way, but they'll start to get some of that money back because they're doing different things now?
Here's the problem. The people that complain about we don't need a running back are the people that don't have one. Cleveland's doing just fine. You don't hear them complain about not having a running game. And you go around the league, those teams that have that guy don't have the complaint. What I'll say about where the running back position is going is that teams are reluctant with the money you have to invest in all the other positions to put it on the backs of a running back. Although in order to win, right, at some point in time during the season, you're going to have to run the football effectively. And they say they can do it by committee, but I'm going to tell you like this. You know how hard it is to pick which running back is going to be hot when you have 2 or 3 running backs that have talent? So,
And neither can get in
I
the
don't
groove.
think- Right. Exactly. Because one of the things I used to do, and they used to, I mean, I had so much trash talk to me, and my response would be, "I'll see you in the fourth quarter." Right.
Wear 'em
I
down.
said, because you can keep hitting me. You can keep hitting me. I'm going to keep getting up. But eventually you're going to say, "I'm tired of hitting this dude. I'm going to hit him off to the side." And when you do that, it's over. So we'll see in the second half if you still have that same intensity. And that's what running backs do. I hate when you watch halftime highlights and they say so-and-so has 10 carries for 30 yards. It means so much more than that, but we so caught up in numbers that a guy need an average 5 yards per carry. And running back doesn't work like that. You might have 2, 3, 20, 4. It's all, it all adds up at the end. You got to have patience with it. But there's certain teams that don't. You look at Tennessee. They're quite happy with their running back.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, Leroy, like not every 3-yard carry is the same, right? If I got a 4th and 1, a 3-yard carry is a great carry. If I got a if I got a 3rd and 10, a 3-yard carry, even a 5-yard carry did nothing for me. So it's not all created equal. You got to look.
When I really learned about that, and I really took it to heart, because when you come into the league, you want to make an impression. The only way you can make an impression at running back is big plays.
Yeah.
But what happens is if you try to make a big play every time, you end up making it worse. There is no worse feeling in the world for an offensive coach to have 2nd and 11. Yeah. Don't ever underestimate 2nd and 7. And I tell running backs that all the time. But when I got to Cleveland, my true story, when Bill got to Cleveland, the first thing he did, he called me and he called Metcalf in the office. So me and Metcalf, we boys, we sitting in there with, what's up, what Bill got to say, what's going on. He probably going to tell us this our show. We going to get it going on. So we all dabbing each other up. We about to get the rock. And he came in, he say, "Eric, you led the league in fumbles per attempt, per carry." And so I looked at him and laughed. He said, "Shut up, Hoard, you were 2nd." Now, the other thing that he did was 1 year after a season, it was an off season, he called me in his office and we watched 300 plus carries of Emmitt Smith. And he said, "You notice anything weird about this?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, he led the league in rushing. His longest run from scrimmage, leading the league in rushing, was 25 yards.
Wow.
And what he said is that understand those plays are going to come. You can't force it. But what separates you from other people is making a 1-yard carry, a 3-yard carry, making a 4-yard carry, a 10-yard carry. Right? That's what separates running backs. Everybody can run through a big hole. But who can get there? Who can read the defense? Who can understand the concepts and set things up to where you create a hole for yourself? And so from that point on, I learned, and I teach, when guys ask, I teach them understand the flow of a defense. Understand you see a end closing down. Don't just run out there like you got an open space, because that linebacker coming around the end. But if you hug that crashing linebacker, a lot of times the linebacker gonna leave you room, and he won't even touch you. So I started, learning things like that and just becoming more effective with the skill that I had, because I was not running nobody. Yeah. I learned that real early. And back when they could horse collar you, I found myself flat on my back from getting horse collared a lot trying to run outside. I had to be more effective. And that's, one of the ways, one of the arts of being a running back, knowing when you can bounce it, but you got to set it up. So if you have an explosive first step, you set it up inside, you can beat somebody outside. But there ain't nobody in this league fast enough to just run out there without any of that happening inside.
And that's why, to me, even though Derrick Henry and now Jonathan Taylor get more hype, and even McCaffrey when he's healthy, why I will take Nick Chubb running the ball over any back. Because who's the best fourth quarterback? Fourth quarter running back, Nick Chubb. And who's the best yard? To me, this is a big one. Yards after contact. Nick Chubb is by far the best in the league. Because because as you just said it, Leroy, anybody can run through a big hole. And the Browns have a good offensive line. But Nick Chubb, how many times does he get hit and breaks that first tackle? It happens almost every time.
That's it. That's you have to on the football field, you have to be able to identify things that separate you from other people. Otherwise, they can have anybody playing running back.
That's right.
And that's one of the things. And I would tell you something I ain't never had. That's stiff arm. Mm-hmm. Goodness gracious. Like I try to stiff arm somebody and I just end up headbutting them. Like I don't know why my arms wasn't that short. I just couldn't do it.
Got dinosaur
So I just
arms.
left it alone. Get him.
Headbutt.
And then just think about this. Back in the day, we used to catch passes. I caught a lot of passes with them big old shoulder pads. You can't only reach this high over your head.
Hey, Leroy, them Rydell's back then, boy, them wasn't forgiving. You get your arms about this long. You can't reach them up.
I remember I used to put so many pads on too because I was getting it. I used to get my shins used to be all scratched up from people hitting me low. My thighs was black and blue. My elbow was swollen because of my bursa sack. I mean, my knuckles were raw, everything. So I used to put pads on everything. Bill said to me one time, he said, "Hey, you got enough pads?" I said, "Hey, is there more?"
Show me.
I'm going out there in a suit of armor. I said, I can still run the same.
You said something about really quickly before we get to what the internet is talking about. A couple questions that we got in the chat for you. You said something earlier about that rotation. You and Eric Metcalf trying to figure out what your rotation, getting the lather up. You know how you want to get hit a few times, get up. You want to get that sweat going. Now you can see the field a little better. How do you think that works with a stable of running backs with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? Do the Browns run? Have you noticed that they run different types of plays for each other? Because and then you got a guy like Dearness Johnson who's more of a slasher. He runs those zone plays and he's a one-cut type guy. So how do you think they're utilizing those guys, and do you think it's tough for those guys to get, especially when you got two really dynamic backs that do things very well?
Here's the one thing that you have to do, and you have to be careful in the NFL that you don't typecast yourself, right? So you don't want to be the guy when you go in the game, these are the plays that they run.
Right.
They become easier to defend. So there are some things that all running backs have to do. For example, the zone play. Everybody runs the zone play. But what you see as a running back and what you can do may be so different that to a defense, they're not very smart. They think it's a different play. Right? It's the same stretch play. Some guys like to set it up, cut it back. Some guys like to dip in and hit it around the outside. It's all in the skill of playing running back and what your preference is. I'll give you a perfect example. When I was at Michigan, we ran a wishbone. So I played the up back, and part of that was because they wanted me to carry the ball. And I was able to make reads being 1 yard behind the quarterback. So when I got to the league and they put me in the back, I was like, goodness, I got all day. It just seemed the game almost slowed down instead of speeding up because I had so much room to operate. Some of these guys, they're so used to playing in these wide open offenses in college where you just get the ball and use your explosiveness and run, that when you get into the NFL, that dynamic changes again a lot because, one, if you see a hole, it ain't gonna be there by the time you get there, right? And two, the guys that are covering those holes are a lot bigger, stronger, and faster than the guys that you were dealing with in college. And so it's all, a learning thing. The hits are harder. You got to be more physical. You're going to get trash talked to you. You got to stay in your lane and do what you do. And so, I never understood a running back that talked trash. Here's why. You ever noticed, Nick, how many running backs talk trash? None. You know why? Because you can't initiate contact. I ain't like Thomas. I be out there running my damn mouth because I'm coming up and hitting whoever I want.
Wow.
I'm just saying. DBs and wideouts talking trash because they the farthest away from the activity.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute, Leroy. Wait. Let me stop you right there. I played box safety as well, so I was, I earned my stripes. Don't do that. I was in that box.
Hey, so you came up in the box as an extra guy. For what?
Hey, Leroy, he was just visiting. He was visiting. He wasn't.
So I don't get no respect. I was in the box.
You were renting.
Wow.
Hey, let me tell you what. You would dip into the box to show an 8-man box so they would throw the ball and then you back out. I'm just visiting.
I had run responsibility.
Hey, Leroy, I think you low-key called G. Bush and Tyvis stupid because he was talking about the defense. He's like, the defense. They dumb.
But no, let me tell you why. This is why. Because we'll run one play out of 5 or 6 different formations, and they have to learn 5 or 6 plays. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
And so when you do that with 5 or 6 plays, we only learning 5 or 6 plays. They learning 50 or 60 plays out of all these different situations. They can't keep up. You can't. And so that's why I say that about defense, because they all look. I love the way. This is what I love about the defense. This is what I love about defense.
Look at him.
You get up to the line of scrimmage. I'm scrolling field. I see you, Tyvis. I see you walking your ass up. I see you. I'm looking around, right? I'm eyeing it out. And then there's always a guy on defense that think he know everything. He calling out the play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, left guard is light. He's pulling. I'm like, really? So guess what we do? We run a pass play and we tell the left guard, hey, be light. So they think it's a run. Like, that's it.
It's a tell. It's like playing poker. Hey, Leroy, we got questions from the internet for you. You ready for them?
What's happening? Yeah, I'm ready.
Go ahead, McNuggets.
Awesome, Leroy. We've got 2 mailbag questions for you, and anytime we open up the mailbag to the audience, it's brought to you by PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus get full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. All right, Leroy.
Wait, does Bull have a jingle for PCC?
No, it's just a chant.
Oh, okay.
It's just like
a chant for PCC.
with the drum, the old Indians drum.
I got it.
Leroy, the first question
good
for
question.
you. What was the most memorable game or play from your Browns career?
That is a good one.
All right, so it was probably a little Leroy luck involved in this.
Leroy Luck is
For
his thing.
Steelers. And the thing you need to know about Bill Belichick, he is a stickler for details on every play. So we run the goal line play on Thursday, and I'm supposed to go in the flat and open it up for the inside guy, and the linebacker would step way up the field, so I go underneath him. And Bill yelled at me all week, go across his face. It's going to open up the guy behind him. If you go underneath, y'all going to be too close together. We ran it 1,000 times. We get in the game. Guess what I did? I went inside. I got knocked around. I was flat on my back, and the football landed in my chest. Touchdown. I'm like, all right. I don't know why Bernie threw it. It got battered around, and it just fell on my chest. Touchdown.
Worked out.
I was like, holy smokes. There's a couple of plays. I remember we played the Saints one time. We was on our own 1-yard line. And our offensive coordinator said, we're going to run a screenplay from our own 1. We all sitting in the huddle. Say, for real?
You never heard this.
It worked.
But to
It worked. I'm running down the field. I'm like, please, Jesus, make me faster. I'm running. I got stopped on the Saints' 45-yard line. I get back to the huddle. Now, it was a 52-yard run, a screen pass, 52 yards. I get to the sideline. I get back into the huddle, and Tony Jones looked over at me and said, you couldn't even get us a field goal range? Like, wow. So,
tough crowd.
It is, man. But you know what? It's when you sharing those moments with your brothers, it make it that much fun. That much more fun.
Absolutely. What's the second question?
We got one more, Leroy. I guess we can cross off sprinting off the list here, but the question is, if you could have gone pro in another sport, which sport would it be?
It would have been baseball.
Yeah.
There we go.
Easy. I was a better baseball player.
Wow.
No kidding.
What position did you play?
Yep. I was a pitcher, and in high school I threw the ball about 92 miles an hour.
Wow.
I threw a no-hitter and lost 2-1.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's painful.
Walk a bunch?
I probably had like 235 pitches because I was throwing it all over the place. I ain't have no real training. I ain't have no real training, so I was learning by watching TV.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Because I went to a small school, and so I had an opportunity if I'd have went to LSU to play baseball, and but I decided to go to Michigan, and I thought about it, but the workload was too much.
Yeah.
When I got to Michigan, so yeah, listen. Baseball is, I enjoy watching baseball. I enjoy the excitement of somebody having success in baseball, and I wish they could celebrate it. Because I'm telling you what, if I played baseball, I would fight every other week. Because I'm telling you what, if you listen to me, if you throwing the ball 100 miles an hour and I hit it 400 feet, y'all better get a parade going around these bases because I'm celebrating.
Flipping that
I'm
bat.
celebrating. And I'm not going to wait.
Do it.
And if you could throw a baseball at me and I'm holding a bat, look, I can't promise nothing. But I'm not just going to let you hurl baseballs at me because you don't like that I hit your ball 400 feet. You had a choice.
Exactly. Yeah, they're soft now. No question about it. Game's changed. Hey, we got to let you go, Leroy.
Leroy, you're the best, buddy.
Real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
G. Bush.
What's up?
I have never watched a podcast before, but I watch your podcast on Deshaun Watson. Nice one.
Wow.
Look at that.
I've never watched a podcast before.
My
And
man,
I said,
I
you know what?
appreciate you.
Let me see what G. Bush talking about.
Yeah.
Let me see what these streets are saying.
Well, how was it?
Reasons
Rated
talking.
out of 1 to 5 star. Where was it?
I tell you what, as far as being informative and factual, I give it a 5.
There you
5.
go.
Everybody has
We can't do any
opinions.
better than that.
Yeah.
Can't do any better than
Everybody
that.
has opinions. Everybody has opinions. But if you throw facts in their face, they never want to back up on their opinion. What he did was got the facts first and
Yeah.
then gave his opinion.
Yeah, no, that's smart.
So-
That's why you make a
and
great
Leroy, thanks for watching my podcast.
And you
I
know
I'm
what
about to say, I got a podcast, too.
Thanks for watching Tyvus's
And
podcast.
Leroy, I'll say this. We got shout out to Michigan, by the way. Y'all ain't
Whoa!
I like you.
Whoa! Wow! That's absurd.
That's uncalled for.
Wow!
Hey,
He didn't go to Ohio State.
I went to OU.
You
I
so
can
low.
sign that
hey,
peace treaty.
Thomas, I'm going to tell you right now, you on the fence right now. It can go either way.
Yeah, Tyvus is about to push him right off.
Friend or foe. Right? Friend or foe.
I can't.
So be careful.
I can't proudly represent my university.
Sure you can. But what? Look, that's how we representing. Why you can't wear just a Buckeye
I
shirt?
told you I literally just went in the closet to grab the shirt.
Oh yeah. Oh, your shirt say "Beat Michigan."
Matter of fact.
Yeah.
Hey, Leroy,
Thanks, Leroy.
here's your new sign off. Shut up, Hoard. You were second. Leroy, we love you, man.
See you, buddy.
We love you.
Thanks, man.
Peace
All
out.
right.
By the way, Leroy could talk more than anybody. For him to be silenced by Gale Sayers is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's not like some quiet guy.
When
being
he said,
silenced.
I've only been silenced one time in
Yeah.
my life, I thought, wow, I had the under.